When you first start climbing, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the huge amount of gear and price tags of the gear that you may or may not need. In this video, I'm hoping to cut through some of the confusion and tell you the gear that you need to start climbing today, as well as some of the gear you might want to pick up further down the line. While most climbing gyms will rent you any gear you might need for the day, if you're really getting serious into climbing, you're going to want to pick up some of your own gear. So first off, here's the bare necessities you need to be able to climb in just about any climbing gym. The first thing you want to get is a nice pair of climbing shoes. For a beginner shoe, I recommend something with a flat, neutral sole, which will serve you well over all different types of terrain and tends to be less expensive than some of the more aggressive shoes out there. Some good beginner shoes are the La Sportiva Mythos, the La Sportiva Tarantulas, Black Diamond Momentum, but take a look online and there's a ton of great options. As you get more advanced in climbing, you might want to pick up some different types of shoes depending on the type of terrain that you're climbing on. If you're climbing on overhanging terrain, you're going to want a more aggressive downturn shoe like these Black Diamond Shadows. This allows you to grip and keep your feet on the rock even when it's really steep. And if you're climbing on more vertical terrain with really small footholds, you'll want a nice stiff flat shoe like these La Sportiva TC Pros, which will allow you to stand up on very tiny footholds. Climbing shoes are really a matter of personal preference, so I recommend just trying on a bunch of different shoes, and whatever feels most comfortable on your foot is what you should get to start out. The only other thing you'll need to get started climbing in the gym is some climbing chalk. Different companies will sell more high-end chalk, but really it's whatever feels best for you. That being said, you do need some sort of climbing chalk because it's really important for your skin friction between your hands and the rock. Seriously, it makes a massive difference. You also want some sort of chalk bag to hold the chalk. You can get one like this that clips around your waist, or you can get a big chalk bucket if you're just into bouldering and not going to be climbing on routes. I recommend just picking up a small chalk bag like this that you can clip around your waist while you climb. You can also get chalk socks, which hold all your chalk in, and then you put the sock down in your chalk bag, but it's a matter of personal preference. Again, for me, I like to just dump the loose chalk into my chalk bag. So that's all you really need to get started climbing in the gym, just on the boulders where you fall onto a mat and you're not climbing with a rope. However, if you want to get started climbing with a rope in the gym, you're going to need to pick up a few more pieces of equipment. The first thing you'll need to start climbing with a rope is a good climbing harness. There's a billion different climbing harnesses available out there, and really the differences between them to me are kind of negligible, but in the beginning, just pick up one that feels comfortable and fits nice and snug around your waist and legs. In the future, as you get more advanced, you might want to pick up a lighter harness or one with larger gear loops, but that'll come with time. In the beginning, just get one that's comfy. The next thing you'll need to start climbing with a rope is some sort of belay device. It seems like every year companies come out with new fangled belay devices, but really the two basic types are the passive types like the ATC and the active types like the Petzl Grigri. There's a lot of opinions on the internet as to which is better, which I'm not going to get into here, but basically the passive kind requires you to keep your hand on the brake the whole time, and if you let go of the rope, your partner's going to fall. But they are less expensive and they teach you good habits. The active types like the Grigri have an assisted braking feature, which means you should still hold on to the brake hand of the rope, but if something does happen, you were to let go, it'll most likely hold your partner. So they're a little bit safer, but with that, they're also a little more expensive. So most people, when they just start out, pick up something like the ATC, and then as you get more advanced, you can pick up the Grigri. At this point, you also want to pick up some sort of locking carabiner to attach your belay device to your harness. Again, there's a bunch of different types of these, but basically all that a locking carabiner does is it has some sort of locking mechanism that when you put it in place, like this screw gate, it keeps the gate locked and prevents it from accidentally opening. It's used when there's only a single point of connection between you and the rope, like with your belay device. They also have types like this magnetron that stay locked until you press these two side buttons and then it opens. Again, just any type of locking carabiner works fine, but make sure you use a locker with your belay device. That's pretty much everything you could need to climb any type of route in the gym. Now, as you transition to outdoor climbing, you're going to need some additional gear, which we'll get into right now. When you first start climbing outside, you'll probably be sport climbing, which is where you clip into pre-installed bolts up a rock face. And the way you clip into those is using quick draws. There's a bunch of different types of quick draws on the market. Here's a few different examples, but basically one end clips to the bolt and the other end clips to your rope. And that's how you stay protected as you climb up a regular sport route outside. Some sport routes will come with these pre-installed, but by and large, for the most part, you're gonna need to pick up your own. I recommend getting like 10 or 12 of these to start. That'll be enough to get you up most routes outside. There's a lot of different quick draws on the market. Some have these key locking gates, like that, and others have these wire gates. They're a little lighter, but they have this annoying hook feature on them, which some people don't like. Again, it's personal preference, so when you're just starting out, just pick a cool color and move on. The next thing you'll need for climbing outside is a good rope. A climbing rope is most climbers' most prized possession. They range in length from around 50 meters to up to like 80 or 90 meters, with most of them being 60 or 70 meters long, which is plenty for most people. They also range in diameter from about 8.9 millimeters all the way up to like 10.2 or 3 millimeters on the fatter end, with, again, most of them being between like 9.2 millimeters and 9.8 millimeters. When you're just starting out, I recommend picking up a 60 or 70 meter rope. That'll get you up most climbs without being so long that it just keeps getting tangled all the time. And as far as thickness goes, I recommend getting a beefier rope to start, something like 9.8 or 10.2 millimeters, because those can take more of a beating and they'll last you longer in the long run, even if they are just a little bit heavier. The next thing you'll need for climbing outside is some good anchoring gear. This is used to build anchors at the top of a route if you have some more people who want a top rope up behind you. So you can either get a nice length of about 20 feet of cordelette, like this, or you can get just a triple length sling like this one. In addition to that, you'll also want to pick up 3 or 4 lockers. Those are used to build the anchoring system. I'll make another video all about building anchors in the future, but for now, a cordelette, some slings, and a few lockers will be all you need for that. And the last piece of gear you want for climbing outside is a PAS, or personal anchor system. You can make one yourself out of cordelette or slings, or you can pick one up like this from a company like Black Diamond. I think Petzl makes one as well. And this is used for clipping yourself into the anchor when you're cleaning off your gear before you come down from a route. In addition to the PAS, you also want a locking carabiner to attach that to the anchors on your route. So that's basically everything you'll need to be able to climb outside completely on your own. If you want to move from sport climbing to traditional climbing or trad climbing, you're going to need a few more pieces of gear. Since with trad climbing there's not already pre-drilled bolts into the wall, you'll need to place your own protection. And the way you do this is by using cams or nuts that slot into cracks and you can clip your rope into as you move up. Cams are considered active protection because they have a spring-loaded mechanism like this that compresses and expands in the rock to keep you in place. And then you clip your rope into the other side as you move up. They come in different sizes for different size cracks depending on what kind of route you're climbing. And they range from very small to extremely large, depending on the type of route you're climbing. In addition to cams, trad climbers also use passive protection like these nuts, which come in all different shapes and sizes, and you just wedge them into constrictions in the crack and then clip your rope in as you move up. Lastly, in order to get into trad climbing, you'll want some sort of alpine draw like this one. All this is a shoulder length sling with 2 carabiners on either end, and this allows you to clip into your piece of protection that you just placed and extend it out a little further than a normal quick draw to clip your rope in. Trad routes tend to wander back and forth a little more than regular sport routes, so it prevents rope drag, and it also prevents you from putting too much sideways force or upwards force on the piece you just placed as you climb past it. So hopefully that gave you a good overview of the climbing gear you'll need at each stage of your climbing progression. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, hit the like button or let me know in the comments down below, and consider subscribing. And that's all I got for you on this video. Stay adventurous.